the statement they issued, and in the NBA also. That's just what our league is about, and protecting the players. And like I said last night, there's no room for in our game for that. In that situation, I don't think I could have handled it any better. I'm glad I did what I did, and understanding that things could have been a lot different if I reacted a different way, or if I did something, or put my hands on them, or did anything in that nature. But the support I've gotten from fellow players, the league, has been unbelievable. With that being said, I think more should be done. I don't think he's not a good look for the ownership group that they have, and I know Joe Lake. Those guys are great guys. The ownership that they have, that I know, they're unbelievable guys. But a guy like that showing his true class, and he shouldn't be a part of our league. There's just no place for that.
All right, and welcome into Views from the Sidelines. Just me and Malik today. Another day where Chris is sick.
Along with Clay and KD and Boogie. He's
right, and Kevin Looney.
Yeah, he's on the list.
Normally I would make a joke because Chris is sick and he has strep throat that it's because of his girlfriend or something, and that you shouldn't have a girlfriend when you have a podcast to attend to. But I won't make that joke, so we won't worry about it.
You should do it.
Anyway.
Do it for the fans, Joey.
Anyway, our opening today was Kyle Lowry talking after Game 3 of the NBA Finals, talking about Mark Stevens, a minority owner in the Golden State Warriors, after he shoved him kind of out of the way as Kyle Lowry ran into the stands a little bit right on the sidelines. And it was a really weird moment, to be honest. You couldn't really see it in the replay, but after they showed a couple different angles, I could definitely see it. And now he's been banned from the rest of the finals. We'll see going forward if anything more gets taken care of. But for right now, he is banned, and the NBA is investigating it along with the Warriors, I believe. And so, yeah. Malik, what's your first impression on this? I know this seems to be popping up more and more recently in the NBA.
Kyle Lowry had one of the most eventful nights in NBA Finals in like the past 10 years. He's hitting threes in people's faces. He came alive last night. Gave them, I think, what was it, like 23, 8, and 5. He had a fantastic game. He's diving for loose balls as usual. He's playing harder than most players. And he dives for a ball and gets pushed by a fan. $1 billion fan at that.
Yeah, and then you come to find out that fan has a stake in the team that he's playing against.
Exactly. This Golden State, California, Silicon Valley. These rich dudes, they're getting out of control. They think they can do whatever they want. But hey, man, times are changing. This is what the NBA is becoming.
I guess
it's going to be the wild, wild west soon.
It's definitely a bad look, and I just don't know what people's problems are. Why would you even think to push a fan or push a player, and then he starts back talking him, he's mad at him because he's tearing up his team that he has ownership in. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Although it's completely illogical. Because he has stake in the team, he feels like he's a part of the team? Question mark? Yes. Mark Cuban has been the most eccentric owner in NBA history, and he even hasn't stooped this low or done something this crazy. So, yeah, this is new territory, and this isn't even a well-known guy that we know,
right?
Outside of this incident. So yeah, it's weird. I hope stuff like this doesn't happen more.
Yeah,
it would be more entertaining. It's horrible to say. It would be more entertaining, but let's hope it doesn't happen more, because we don't want another Malice in the Palace? Question mark. Right. The fans want another Malice in the Palace.
Right. On ESPN this morning, they had Steven Jackson on, of course, on First Take talking about it, and obviously he said he was on Kyle Lowry's side, which I agree.
Listen, man, Steven Jackson would have literally thrown him out the arena. He would have taken him outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, besides that drama, the Raptors went to Oracle.
Played
and
great, huge one.
They balled out. They got the win when they needed it because Golden State had Klay Thompson out, as we said, Kevin Durant, Kevon Looney, all major players for the Warriors. And this was the time the Raptors needed to step up, and they did.
Steph Curry stepped up.
And Steph Curry, a lot of people are questioning, is he capable of carrying this team? My answer now would be yes. Obviously, it didn't happen. But now people are starting to get the kind of the cold response and saying, oh, well, now Steph Curry knows what LeBron feels like. I still disagree with that statement because LeBron can take over a game a lot easier than Steph can, just because of his physicality. I understand that Steph can score in bunches a lot quicker because of his perimeter shooting, but it is a lot harder for him to get a shot.
LeBron has the physicality and one of the highest IQs in NBA history. So with both of those things on your side, you can do something like win 2 games in 2015 when you're not supposed to win 2 games in the finals.
Right. And when a guy like Kawhi Leonard is guarding Steph Curry at that point, that makes it very, very difficult for Steph.
Also, how many minutes did Boogie play? It seemed like he also was almost not playing because it seemed like he only played like 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah,
he would come in, try to make an impact, really couldn't, and then go out.
I think he was like 1 of 7 from the field, so he definitely struggled. Serge Ibaka actually lit him up in the game, and
he got bailed out with that foul at the beginning of the game when they said Marc Gasol fouled him on that three. That's the type of stuff that annoys me about basketball today. He had somewhere to land, but if you jump towards the defender, they just call the foul.
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah. I think the big storyline for this game was that Kawhi Leonard didn't have a great game, but the entire Raptors team stepped up. Danny Green came alive.
Finally.
Kyle Lowry.
Said if he started to heat up, I knew the Warriors would have real problems on their hands.
Yeah, he had a lot of key threes down the stretch. The Warriors made multiple attempts to come back in the game. They got back within 8, I believe, towards the end of the fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden, the Raptors just stepped it up one more time, and they just kind of ran away with it. They had a bunch of blocks in the fourth quarter, which is crazy.
Fred VanVleet hit that crazy 3.
That was the dagger.
That was a Steph type 3.
That for sure was the dagger because a couple plays previously, I think, was when Quinn Cook was called for the moving screen when Steph made a 3, and that would have brought the Warriors even closer. And then kind of went down the other way. The Raptors ended up scoring, and the Warriors just couldn't really get a stop down the stretch, I think. And that was kind of their problem all night was, they could keep up with the Raptors, but they couldn't get stops on the other end. And that's obviously what's going to happen when you have Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant out. There's only so much Draymond can do.
And it showed every time they went to a timeout and they flashed the camera on Klay, pacing back and forth on the sidelines, just itching at the bit to jump into the game, but he couldn't. So you could clearly see the frustration from him because if he was on that floor, does Danny Green get that hot?
Probably not.
That's the question.
Yeah, and the Warriors elected to force Klay Thompson out of the game. He tried to convince them to let him play. He was adamant about wanting to play, but the Warriors chose otherwise, which in the long run is probably a good decision. But yeah, I'm sure, as you could tell, he was unhappy with having to sit through that game, knowing that he thinks he could have given that team a lot of help that they needed in a big game like that. So now, what do you think happens? Do you think, are the Warriors out? Like, some people are starting to say that the Warriors now have no chance because of the injuries, because of all the issues that they've had, and now that the Raptors have gone through games with Kawhi not looking 100% and still winning and getting contributions from the rest of their team, do you think the Raptors can take this championship from the Warriors, or do you think the Warriors still have one more fight in them?
It is almost insane to me to think that the Warriors will lose this finals. It still seems almost impossible that the Warriors would win a finals, even with Klay in and out of the lineup and KD maybe coming back in like game 6 or 7. It still seems like a good possibility that the Warriors would win. But when the Raptors are playing like this, and they've been winning games in these playoffs. Danny Green has not been himself for most of these playoffs. Pascal Siakam has played like a superstar. Kyle Lowry has been heating up more and more every playoff series. They get from what they need from Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol playing smart basketball, hitting a high percentage of shots, and the emergence of Fred VanVleet in the past few series. Everybody's stepping up, like you said, even without Kawhi playing his best basketball. So if they can stick, it seems like everybody's going to stick to this because this is what Pascal has been doing. Fred VanVleet is extremely confident right now. And if Danny Green keeps this up, I mean, along with the hot offense, they're playing fantastic defense at the same time. So the Raptors could win this series.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they're going to 4-1 them. Even them winning in 6 would be a shock also. But the Raptors, they could win this series in 6.
I mean, if they win tomorrow night, I think it could be a 5 games. I don't know if the Warriors can go back to Toronto and steal game 5.
If the Raptors win tomorrow in Oracle, I think they win it in 5, and that would be one of the most shocking turns in NBA Finals history.
Yeah,
NBA history.
Right. And I guess we didn't even mention Durant is officially out for Game 4. It came out not too long ago that Durant will not play. He went through, I believe, 3-on-3 scrimmage today, and it just wasn't feeling right. So he's going to be held out, but Klay Thompson will play. So that definitely helps. In Game 2, when the Warriors won without Klay Thompson, in the second half, they assisted on every basket that they scored, which is incredible. And it's kind of a testament to the Warriors offense and the way that they play. They're going to need another game like that come tomorrow. And it's going to be real tricky because, we've talked about it in the past that the Warriors bench looks nowhere near what they've been the past couple of years. Sean Livingston is non-existent. Iguodala is decent, but I think he's focusing more on defense.
Quinn Cook might be playing the best out of the entire bench.
And he's not even playing that well because we've seen stretches of him in the regular season when Steph Curry was out. He played incredibly. Like, he looked like a good future player. Right now, he looks good, but we know that he's got more, I think. And that's what the Warriors are going to need. They're going to need that third guy to step up. Somebody like either Boogie's got to feel better. Quinn Cook's got to take the load off of Klay and Steph. Steph's going to have another 30-point night. It's definitely starting to look like the Raptors are in favor here. And that's kind of scary to say because I think even when the Warriors were playing the Cavs, it went to Game 7, but I think even if it was in the same scenario where Cleveland was up at any point like the Raptors are now, I think it would have been a more surefire thing saying that the Warriors probably still had a good chance. For some reason in this series, it just feels different. Something about it. I think it's the defensive end that really gets me from the Raptors, the way that they just make sure that they lock down on defense. And maybe that's coming from, watching the Going to Work Pistons and seeing all that defense played, and that then you realize like defense can actually win championships. And I feel like the Raptors have that in them, but they also do have a superstar in Kawhi Leonard to kind of help them on the offensive end and get them going. But it's pretty, I'm almost swayed to say that I think the Raptors are going to win this series. But it's all if the other night wasn't a must-win, Game 4 is a must-win at Oracle. They're going to get Klay back. If the Warriors don't win that game, I think it's over.
It's not crazy to talk about the Raptors winning anymore. And also, you bringing up Klay, it just made me think of something. This may sound crazy. I'm not sure. I think I'm almost sure that Klay is not going to be 100% playing in this next game. And if that hurts the Warriors, that could hurt him and the Warriors. Because if he forces himself to play, he could further hurt himself and hurt his team's chances. So this sounds kind of crazy, but Klay might have to let this one go. Clay, he might just have to let this one go. He's won. How many war championships does Clay have? He has 3.
3.
He may have to let this one go for his future. Because
his last game that he just missed was the first finals game that he's ever missed.
Exactly. I understand the competitor inside of him is probably so high that something like that it's insane. He would never consider, even if he's a little bit injured, of course he's going to play. But you saw how he was walking in that game too. He could barely jog. He couldn't jog up and down the court. If he can't run in this next game, he's trying to force playing defense. I don't want him to make this worse on himself.
The thing that concerns me the most about Clay is that going into game 3, he was questionable. And they said, he'd been shooting well and he seemed decently comfortable. But the problem where his hamstring really bothered him was on hard cuts and basically moving without the basketball. What does Klay Thompson do on offense? He moves without the basketball. He makes hard cuts to get open.
Yes.
That's my biggest concern, is that the thing that is affecting him most is what he's also most effective in the game doing. And if he can't do that, I don't if it gives you another body for a shooter to spot up, but if he's not,
but how does he get open?
Right. If he's not running guys around, and him running around frees up their entire offense. That's how him and Steph work. Is they run around like maniacs. The other defense is trying to switch and run around just with them, and it's really hard, and that's how we saw Steph Curry go for 47. If he can't do that, though, it makes him a lot easier to guard, and they don't have to. They can still put Kawhi on Steph to lock him down because he's mobile, he's healthy for now, and they can put anybody else basically on Klay Thompson, and
you could just leave Danny Green on him, honestly.
Right. And he's an elite defender himself.
Because he won't be able to chase Danny Green around,
right?
If he's not fully healthy. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big concern. I don't think I can agree with you to have him sit this one out again.
That's why I said it's crazy. But if you're not fully healthy, how are you helping?
Right. But
how are you helping your team's chances?
I say though, you at least let him, give him a try. Play him in the first quarter, see how it goes. See how he's feeling. Let him kind of warm up a bit. If he's ineffective, maybe you have to sit him the rest of the game. But I think you have to at least try and at least see where he's at. And especially if he can get open and just knock down some shots just to give them that little extra bit of scoring. I think that's all they need from him. But I just can't see him. I can't see him sitting. One, because he won't.
There's no way he's sitting.
But I don't think.
No way.
At this point, I don't think the Warriors are going to risk. Because, like I said, too, this game is so big that if they sit Klay and they lose, I think the series is over. And it's so hard, as we saw the other night, that it's almost impossible for the Warriors to win without Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant.
I think it looks even worse if you play Klay. He looks bad because of his injury, and you lose.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's why
Either way, it's going to look bad if they lose.
Right. But that's kind of why I'm saying you kind of test the waters, give him a little bit of a run, see what happens. If it's not working, just take him out of the game. Just say, hey, Klay, we appreciate you giving us the effort. It's just not working. We see that, and hopefully he sees that too, and he doesn't want to put a detriment to his team either if he's not 100%. I would think. Because in game 2, he kind of was the one that pulled himself out, where he said he can't finish the game. So if that's the case, I would hope that he would also be able to say, like, okay, I'm gonna have to sit. I can't give the team what I need to.
I think there's a storyline at the end of this series that a lot of people won't bring up. I don't think a lot of people are gonna bring it up. Where does DeMarcus Cousins' career go from here? Like, what he said himself in a quote about like him getting injured. He felt like giving up after he got injured in that last series. Like these injury problems and his reputation isn't the highest right now. I don't see how DeMarcus Cousins saves his career from this point. I honestly think his career might go down as like
somewhat of a bust.
I guess you could say a bust. Like, it'll be kind of a tragic story of
Right.
a guy that he's the best player he's the best center in the league when he's healthy.
I would almost compare it to like a Brandon Roy.
I think it might be worse.
Like given
Because
enough,
Brandon Roy's reputation is gold in Portland. People will love him forever.
right?
Besides Sacramento fans, who really loves DeMarcus Cousins?
I mean, I kind of do. But anyway,
After this Golden State stint, I think it's hard to love him. It really is.
I think the one thing that I've liked that I've seen out of him is that he really appreciates being on a winning team and being able to play in the playoffs. And it's almost like I've seen somewhat of a softer side from him, that he always, he's got the locker room trouble and stuff like that. And I think being around guys that have won before and a lot more like leadership roles, he seems like he fits in a little bit better and he appreciates the moment more. So hopefully he can take that into thought.
I think any guy would change his tone if he got to play, if he got to start in Golden State.
That's probably true. I think there's a really good chance that he stays in Golden State.
I really don't want to see that.
That's my big feeling.
It's possible, but I don't want to see that.
Because I think that after these injuries that he's had again, it's going to, again, diminish his free agency. And all the signs are pointing that Kevin Durant's going to leave. Klay Thompson's going to come back. The Warriors are still going to have some money. And they're probably not going to get like the Jimmy Butlers or, they're not going to get the second tier of free agents. Maybe not even the third tier.
Golden State might be the only team that could get DeMarcus Cousins for cheap.
Right.
Because they're such a great franchise.
Yeah.
And Boogie he trusts them and knows they're going to get to the playoffs, maybe the finals if he's there. That might be his one option. And that's kind of sad when you look at it.
Right.
Yeah. Might be a 30 for 30 coming in 10 or 15 years when this is all over.
Yeah.
The best that never was, DeMarcus Cousins, part 2.
Yeah, and then their next episode will be Isaiah Thomas.
I don't want to talk about Isaiah. That's too depressing.
Anyway.
That's too depressing.
But speaking of free agency, the more that I see the Raptors play like this, the more possibility I feel of Kawhi Leonard staying. And I'm starting to hear little rumbles that he might.
I want Kawhi in LA, not with the Lakers, with the Clippers so bad. I want to see him with Lou Williams and that young core. But yeah, the way they are looking right now, if they win this championship, why would he leave?
Right. I don't know why they would want to break that up at that point.
Well, it's not about them breaking it up. It's about
right.
We don't know how Kawhi is one of the most different.
Yeah.
He may be the most different superstar we've ever seen in NBA history. We don't know what he's thinking. He could just want to go home and be with his family and say, okay, I got another championship. Let me go home and try to win one. It's entirely possible that happens. But
right.
Yeah, you have a nice situation, a good setup, a really nice core around you in Toronto. It's going to be really interesting to see in the summer. Because I wouldn't be surprised at all if they won a championship and he's still left to go with the Clippers.
Yep. All right. So Game 4, Raptors Warriors, is going to be tomorrow, January. Jeez, June 7th. Like I said, most likely a must-win game.
That's Saturday night. You said tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
Game is tomorrow?
Yeah. The game is Friday.
Well, I'm lost. All right, tomorrow, Friday night.
So now Malik is informed of when the game is occurring.
Friday night, ladies and gentlemen.
So anyway, pretty pivotal game, especially for the Warriors, obviously. Yeah, I double-checked. 9 p.m. Friday, ABC. But anyway, there is actually some other NBA news today. Kind of a surprise little trade. The Nets have traded Alan Crabb along with their 17th pick in this year's draft for Atlanta's Taurean Prince and a 2021 second-round pick. I feel like this is a good trade for both sides Now, I will inform everybody. This was tweeted out by Adrian Wojnarowski, and our good friend Chris, who's sick, is also on the Twitters, and
he has his alleged connections.
He was able to
that he won't tell us about.
Text the update to us. So thanks, Chris. I guess, even though I saw it on my phone momentarily afterwards.
I'm kind of upset Chris didn't let us know first before Woj because he
right
he has the connections first. So
Chris is supposed to have all the inside scoops, but
Yeah.
Woj beat him to this one, so I'm not really sure what happened.
+1 for Woj.
Yeah. My initial thoughts are that it's a good trade for both teams. Taurean Prince is a young, talented player. It kind of fills a role that the Nets somewhat already have. But
He can play more minutes than Jared Dudley now, so that's good.
Right.
They don't have to play Jared that much.
He fits into that role player team that the Nets are, and it just gives them another forward that they seem to have so many of. But it saves them a lot of money, allows them to sign 2 big deals if they decide to move on from D'Angelo Russell. And we'll get to who right now is supposedly going to go to the Nets. But
I think that could be a mistake. We'll get to that.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
But I also like this trade for Atlanta, though. Chris thinks that Brooklyn is the big winner in this move, but this gives Atlanta the 8th pick, the 10th pick, and the 17th in this draft. Now, I understand that this draft is somewhat weak, but as we've kind of projected before, the Hawks could get Cam Reddish, maybe a Bol, and then at 17, they could get anybody that the Pistons missed out on.
I think this draft is better than some of the weaker ones we've been through.
I agree.
Like the Victor Oladipo, Otto Porter.
I think it's a little bit underrated. Yes, it's very top heavy.
There are some really talented junior, senior players.
But I think there are some steals that could occur in this draft.
Yeah.
And like I said, whoever the Pistons pass on, the Spurs aren't too far to follow, and the Hawks are right there now. So, yeah.
The Hawks could get Bol still.
Right. What do you think about this trade? Do you like it for both teams? Are you one-sided, more like Chris, thinking that it's just the Nets that are big winners? Or
Well, because of all the moves the Nets have made in the past 5 years, they've all been damn near A+ moves. So I just have to assume that this one is going to work too, because their priority has been just freeing cap space to attract big time players, and apparently they've been getting to Kyrie Irving apparently, and this move just frees up more space. I like Taurean Prince, like you said. I think you and Chris like him a lot more than me.
No, Chris loves him.
Oh yeah.
I think he's a good player.
I like him because he's the only Baylor player that's panned out so far in the past 10 years. And probably even more than that. It's been a horrible track record.
Probably into the future as well.
Yes. But yeah, I like Taurean Prince. He adds more young depth to that team, which is never bad, especially to a core that's working and has gotten to the playoffs. But yeah, this all comes down to, I think we should just get to it. This D'Angelo Russell thing. You should not abandon the ship of what this young man has been doing for you so far. He's finally reaching his potential as a player. He's an all-star now. We've just come off of seeing Kyrie Irving going through this experiment of, I can be the leader of a team. I'm not just a scorer. Kyrie, you are the Robin. You're not Batman.
Right.
The Brooklyn Nets, I think this would send them back a few years, jumping on the Kyrie Irving, he's our guy train, because Boston had an even better roster than what Brooklyn has right now. And all the Kyrie Irving could keep growing. It's possible he could become a leader one day, but we're fresh off of the Kyrie leader experiment. It didn't work with an even more talented team and an even better coach in Brad Stevens. So you can't just abandon the ship on D'Angelo Russell after he's shown you that he's going to get better year after year. And he's the guy, he's the face of your franchise. You can't just jump off of that right now for Kyrie Irving. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The Nets have started to show interest in Kyrie Irving as Kyrie Irving has shown interest in the Nets in the last week or so. And now it's the thought that Kyrie really wants to come to Brooklyn, which I agree is a smart move for him personally. It's probably a better move than the Knicks, unless the Knicks trade for Anthony Davis. I think that's the only exception. But as far as the Nets go, it doesn't seem to make sense because
him and Kyrie Irving are very similar players.
Right. And you can't keep both.
Exactly.
I mean, technically you can because you could sign Kyrie and re-sign D'Lo, but it wouldn't work. So that would mean that D'Angelo would be leaving. And I don't know if Kyrie would fit. Yes, they're both ISO players, but I feel like D'Angelo Russell trusted his teammates enough.
And I think he's a more gifted passer than Kyrie Irving too. I think he has better passing and playmaking instincts.
And I feel like he bought into the Nets system that they've created. And kind of like you said with bringing Kyrie in, I think it just sets them back because right now they have such good chemistry, and that's how they were able to make such a strong push this year and become such a good team, and kind of really showing people that they're going to be the future in the East. But I think if you add a guy like Kyrie, it's just going to cause problems because he wants to be that guy, like we keep saying. He keeps trying.
He's trying to force the Batman role on himself,
and it's obviously less talent, like you said, but the Celtics and the Nets are similar, and they have so many good players. The Nets are just kind of like a step down from that, but they have a lot of depth, and I think that's really important. And if Kyrie can't do it with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, guys that aren't known for being like selfish players to begin with either.
Exactly.
It seems like there's an outlier there, and the only outlier that we can see is Kyrie Irving.
Although I believe that Boston roster was very stuffed and congested, and they needed to trade somebody. They needed to trade one of those small forwards. But yeah, like you said, more talent, better coach. It was all there for you, and he just looked uncomfortable in that role.
Right. Yeah, so it's a little bit concerning. I would much rather see, I think, the whole Kyrie, KD, maybe AD on the Knicks rather than messing up this young core of the Nets, especially with the moves that they keep making. Like we said, they haven't really made a mistake, and I think Kyrie could probably be a mistake. It could work out. I'm not going to say that it might not because he's obviously a really good player, but I just don't think that you want to mess with the chemistry that you have because I think it's really important for a team sometimes.
We've seen the Nets collapse before. They shouldn't do it again.
Right.
They're on a good track right now. We don't want to turn this into another Jason Kidd, Vince Carter.
Right.
Yeah, controversial situation that just ends in a complete mess.
Yeah. These aren't like moves, but these are kind of some rumors that have been coming up a little bit more recently. Lonzo Ball's name has been thrown out a lot. The Lakers seem to be really pushing to try to make different trades. Obviously, they want to be involved with Anthony Davis. I still don't know exactly how they'll get that. But Lonzo Ball has been thrown out with Washington and Suns.
Lonzo to Phoenix.
Both of those teams are very interested in those kind of deals. I don't know how any of them work, though.
What do you mean?
You
mean in terms of an AD trade, or what do you?
Just like in general, like getting Lonzo Ball to like Phoenix or Washington. I think.
I'd hate to see him in Washington. Please don't do that.
We were talking with Chris the other day through our little group messaging that supposedly the Suns are trying to pair Lonzo Ball with Devin Booker, but the Lakers still want to be involved with the AD trade. So the only hypothetical that we can think of is some weird three-way trade. And none of us really mapped it out. But if you look at it just from the outside, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense because without Lonzo, that's a key piece that New Orleans wouldn't be getting in the trade that I think they've kind of said that they would like to have, which would mean you'd have to get somebody good from the Suns, like a TJ Warren or something. And
I think Will the Suns be willing to give away like Kelly Oubre, T.J. Warren, and like Josh Jackson?
They can have Josh Jackson.
Hey, Josh Jackson in Phoenix is a problem.
If I was
his second location might be a different story.
If I was New Orleans in that situation, if a three-way trade came about, and the Suns were saying that they're going to take Lonzo, and the Lakers are going to take AD, if I was the Pelicans, I would ask for the Lakers pick and the Suns pick, and then a slew of other players.
That might be what it would have to come down
because
to.
The Pelicans have already said they don't want to deal with the Lakers.
And the Lakers don't need that pick.
If they were able to get the Suns are 6? I think they're the 6th pick. To have the first, 4th, and 6th pick in the draft would be kind of insane.
Yeah.
So, wow, they would take Jarrett Culver at 4 and steal him from the Cavs.
Now that you just said this is a trade I want to see. Zo to Phoenix, get that trade away from LA and give LeBron a few experienced pieces, and then just set the Pelicans up for the future.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm most interested as we get closer and closer to this draft, I'm getting more and more excited to see what the Pelicans do because they are in such the driver's seat because they can get either the 3rd pick from the Knicks or they can pull off some crazy deal to get like the Lakers pick and a bunch of players.
They could get Zion Williamson and Darius Garland.
Right. A lot of people keep talking about how like the Knicks are in control of a lot of stuff during the draft. And
are they?
Blah, blah, blah. The Lakers have a lot to do.
In control?
I keep hearing people talk about the Lakers and the Knicks during the draft. The Pelicans control everything in this draft.
As long as those two teams, the names of those teams, there'll always be talk about them, even when they're bad, even when they don't live up to the expectations. That's how it always will be.
Yeah.
The Pelicans get to have their time in the sun, but yeah, people won't talk about them.
Right. So countdown to the draft continues.
Let's hope this goes through. I want this chaos. I really want New Orleans with 3 top 10 picks.
Yeah.
And I want people to cry.
We'll have to check it out on Trade Machines or something, figure it out. Hopefully we'll come back to you guys next week, figure that out. And there'll probably be more trade rumors and things like that.
Hashtag Zo to Phoenix. I'm starting that campaign right now.
By next week, when's the... Yikes. I was going to look when Game 5 is for the Warriors-Raptors.
I thought the next game was Saturday, so you should probably tell the people when the next game is. I got all my dates mixed around.
Game 5.
Monday, I'm guessing.
It is.
Hey, I got it right.
Game 5 would be on Monday. So possibly by next week's show, we may have a new NBA champion. Anyway, that's enough NBA talk for today. We got some stuff to talk about Michigan, their latest. So Malik, what you got?
Big time move. Big time move.
Big time.
I was hoping Juwan Howard could build I was just hoping for a good assistant staff from the beginning, but now it looks like he might be building something really good with keeping Sadie Washington, keeping John Sanderson, the strength and conditioning coach, who has been a huge, huge role in improving those players over the past few years, all those picks. Now, in a turn nobody saw coming, he goes out and hires Phil Martelli, legendary East coach, head coach of St. Joseph's. He led them to several NCAA appearances. He coached that team with Jameer Nelson and Delonte West. That made a deep run in the NCAA tournament in 2004.
One of the best St. Joe's teams that we've seen.
Exactly. He is St. Joe's basketball, and he's a huge part of what East Coast basketball is. He's going to be, I don't know if he's going to be the head assistant.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure either, though.
Yeah, hires him, I believe, as the head assistant. This is going to be a huge help for him, helping Juwan learn what being a head basketball coach in college basketball is, learning just the ways of recruiting, going on the road and getting these players, just offensive, defensive systems, everything you need to learn. you could just get everything from him, but it seems like he's building an entire staff that's going to be able to help him in this year one to get into a good flow of things from the start, from this summer and on through the season. So it's a huge move, and I love that he was able to get him to come onto the staff.
Yeah. The thing I've liked so far through the Juwan Howard era, and it's only been a couple weeks, I like that he's not afraid to ask for help. Like he's been open about it, that saying, he got Martelli in so that he can get advice. He's never coached before. He's trying to get as much information and advice that he can to help build this program and keep it to somewhat of the same level as it's been known for in the past so many years. So I think that's a good sign. It's nice to have some veteran coaches there to help you out. But at the end of the day, we're still not going to know until the season starts how everything works out. But right now,
it's looking good.
It's looking pretty good.
Yeah. I really hope these decisions just keep adding up, and he keeps adding good assistants. The assistants we have now are good also. Just him maintaining this Michigan staff and adding even better, more experienced coaches, it's going to make it look better. And reading an article that the Detroit Free Press posted about the Phil Martelli hiring and how Juwan Howard has been contacting the players on the team. All the players kept in contact once Beeline took another job. And the next few days, Juwan Howard got in contact with all of them. They've all decided to stick together, and it's good to see this group wants to stay at Michigan and they want to finish what they've started.
Right.
And the fact that they have some confidence in what he's building so far.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. I think it's a step in the right direction. It helps ease some of the concerns that maybe we had at the first sign of the hiring. So hopefully it's on the right track.
No reason to sweat so far.
I'm still a little nervous about the recruiting. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see on that one as well.
Speaking of the recruiting, he's starting out with a bang.
Yeah, his
first offer was the 5-star guard Josh Christopher,
who's
a top 5 player in the 2020 class.
So, and he seemed excited about it. They kind of interviewed him about being offered, and he said, he was pleased to hear that Juwan reached out to him and called him and talked to him. So, maybe there's a chance. Maybe Juwan's reputation can help him out here. But because so far the thing that I've noticed about Juwan Howard is a lot of people like that he's so personable. That was part of the reason that Phil Martelli decided to come to Michigan, is that he had a lot of offers, and it wasn't until Michigan that he knew that he wanted to stay coaching, because I guess he thought about doing some announcing or commentary or whatever. And when he got the call from U of M, and he said the thing that got him the most respect for Juwan was that during his first press conference, and you saw Juwan get real emotional at the press conference, and I guess Phil Martelli really enjoyed that. He felt like it showed that Juwan Howard was just another guy. He's got some accolades throughout his career, but at the end of the day, he's just a normal, regular guy.
And it showed his passion and how much he cares about this program and how much he's willing to put into it.
Right. So definitely good to see. Michigan, I hope, is in the right direction. We got some news on Michigan State as well. They got their first big game announced.
Listen,
Duke
man,
is coming to town.
After this positive Michigan Juwan Howard news, it seems like they're just putting this season on a pedestal almost from the start. They want people to know this team
they're taking over.
This team is going to have so much pressure on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to deserve it, because I think they're going to come into the season number 1. They have so many good players coming back. They got this really nice freshman class coming in. And now they have Duke coming to the Breslin Center December 3rd for a prime time early season game. It's going to be, I don't know. This is one of the biggest games in I don't know how long for Michigan State.
And Michigan State beat one of the best Duke teams that we've seen in a couple years. And Duke's not going to be as good this year. Obviously, they're going to
think so far, but yeah.
Well, they're going to get their recruits like they always do, but you can't match the level of Zion Williamson and RJ Barrett.
Yeah, the star power, it was different.
So, one of the big things for Michigan State that the last couple of years is that they've gotten off to slow starts. They always play like a North Carolina or Duke.
They haven't lived up to expectations.
Right. They always play them in the Carrier game or something like that,
or in New York. Yeah.
Right, and they end up losing. But I think they can flip the script on this game. It's a perfect time to play Duke, get your season going before you play all the little schools and get your easy wins. You get some real competition at the beginning of the season to help this team get started in the right direction, the way that we expect them to get going. Because this team is going to be good.
Yeah, I feel like that game is going to set off a warning to the rest of the country for the rest of the season, because you have a Player of the Year candidate as your starting point guard. You've got some sophomores coming back that are really good players. You have Xavier Tillman as your starting center, who's going to be a pro in a year, probably. Langford coming back as a senior, your knockdown shooter. You're bringing in Rocket Watts as a shot creator. You just have weapon on top of weapon. And then you have Tom Izzo, Mr. March.
Yeah.
I mean,
not lately, but last year, yes.
It's going to be somewhat of our early season coronation, which those can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Those can be very dangerous. Winning a impressive game in the early season, that makes everybody believe you're the champions, which they have the roster and the coach. They have everything they need to be champions this season.
Yeah.
That game will show a lot.
Yeah, and I think Rocket Watts almost gives them a look that they haven't had.
It most definitely does.
Which is kind of cool to see, because like their depth is always pretty good, but they haven't had a guy that can come off the bench like I expect him, at least at the beginning of the season.
This is the first time in I don't know how long they have a player where they can just throw him the ball and say, just go.
Right.
Just go.
He can be an elite scorer off the bench for them.
Yeah.
Which obviously he could start at a lot of different colleges. But I think with Langford coming in and obviously Cassius Winston being a senior, it's going to be hard for him to start. But
he should be the first person off the bench.
Right. He'll definitely get a lot of minutes. He'll get a lot of opportunities to score. And that's exactly what they'll need too. And it'll be a dynamic offensive weapon for them off the bench, which you don't always see a lot in college. So that gives them another weapon. And as long as they stay healthy, they should be able to run away with the Big Ten.
And it'll be scarier in a year because Joey Hauser is coming to Michigan State too. Another piece of news. Yeah, this is the Hauser brother, unless people don't know. Sam and Joey Hauser, big time power forwards for Marquette, twins. Yep. They decided to break up instead of going to the same university. There were rumors at first that they were going to stay together, maybe go to Wisconsin and Michigan State together, but then they decided to break up. Sam, the older brother, is going to Virginia, which that's just going to be huge for them in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And Joey's going to Michigan State. So that's just another huge weapon.
Yep, right when year too. Pretty much right when Michigan State will need a big.
Right on time.
So
it won't be easy for Juwan in the first few years.
Right.
There will be some rough patches, but it comes with the territory of being a new coach at an established program like that.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised by the Hauser news. Like
that they decided to break up?
Well, that and just leaving Marquette. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I felt like that Marquette team was good.
They would have been a predicted top 10 team if the Hauser brothers stayed because Marcus Howard is coming back.
I felt like they just kind of flubbed in the tournament a little bit. Yeah. So that was a little bit of a surprise. Kind of cool, though, for Michigan State to pick up a good forward like that coming in. But, yeah, I'm going to be excited for college basketball just because Michigan State's going to be good again. So no worries on that end. And the curiosity of seeing what Michigan's going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. This fall is going to be, I'm going to try not to panic a lot because listen, college football is coming up soon. My Michigan opinions, I'm afraid. That's all. I'm terrified.
All right.
I'm terrified.
We won't go into your nightmares too much. We'll wait till it gets a lot closer. We'll do some fun episodes once the NBA finals and stuff are over. We won't have to worry. We'll be carefree. But speaking of college football, something you wanted to bring up was the Brew McCoy situation.
How much time do we have for this? We got time?
We got about 10 minutes, 9 minutes.
Okay, yeah, we can
So we
go
got
into that.
plenty of time.
So, for people that don't know, Brew McCoy, he was the top receiver in the nation coming into this year's class, and at the end of the day, he ended up committing to the USC Trojans, mainly because of Cliff Kingsbury becoming the new offensive coordinator at USC. He enrolled early, started taking classes at USC. A week later, Cliff Kingsbury leaves and becomes the head coach at Arizona. He goes into the transfer portal and decides to go to Texas. Goes through spring practice with Texas. Rave reviews from coaches. They say he's already one of their best receivers, already a leader on the offense. And he's also known as a kid that he's not a really loud out there kid. He's just a hardworking, good football player, doesn't talk much. News comes out in these past few days. Brew McCoy is transferring back to USC
after 5 months.
After going through an entire spring at the University of Texas, getting that fan base excited, being a member of that team. Probably he was in the starting rotation of receivers at Texas. He decides to go back to USC. And
because he didn't feel like he felt like he didn't fit in at Texas.
Although they loved him, and it looked like he would be the guy very soon.
Supposedly he was homesick.
Listen, man, I think this move right here, although the transfer portal looked like a huge positive at the beginning, in these moves that are being made by the NCAA in college football, the transfer portal is going to become a problem very soon, and this is just going to be more reasons why not paying the college football players and not paying these athletes, they're just going to keep adding more things around to say, we're going to find ways to make you happy, little ways to make you happy. We're going to make a transfer portal and basically make transferring like free agency, where you can just put your name out there, go on as many visits as you want, pick your school, and then a lot of guys are being having the chance to be eligible immediately. So that's making it even better for them. But this Brew McCoy situation, you have a kid go to a school, leave that school, go to another school, and then transfer back to the school he committed to at first. It's looking like a huge mess. And also, I think at this point, there are more players in the transfer portal than there are scholarships in college football. So I don't know how the NCAA is going to figure this out. They don't want to make the athletes as really happy. They won't pay the players. So they keep going to these little different things that make them happy in certain ways. And those will become extremes at certain points also. So, yeah, I think this just opens up a huge, huge problem for the NCAA. On top of the other problems they keep having. I think this transfer portal is going to get out of hand. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't have stricter rules with that. Something that
they did.
Right.
But yeah, they want to make the players happier to avoid just jumping to paying players.
Yeah. Because, on one of our other podcasts that our good friend Sammy Taramina does, OAA now, they've talked about transfers in high school a lot. And they're starting to have more and more problems with high school transfers, things like that. We've seen it with a couple different basketball programs and things. And now it almost seems like it's even trickling in to the NCAA and college. And
sorry to interrupt you. Before you go there, I want to say this is something that's also affecting college basketball, the transfer portal. And to me, it's actually more effective in college basketball because you don't have the numbers of college football players. Like college football teams, you're 70, 80 players deep. College basketball teams, you're 12, 13 deep at the most. So you're not going to have that many players in the transfer portal. You'll have guys figure out their decisions quicker, and it won't be that big of a problem.
Right.
In college basketball, how do you figure something out like this just so fast in a few months? I mean, yeah, it's a problem. Now, sorry. Back to
No,
what
you're
you were
good.
saying.
It just doesn't make sense that you can keep changing your mind so quickly. And because these college programs are like, okay, well, we're getting this guy. And then all of a sudden he decides, well, I don't really like this program. Coach left, which, I think makes sense in the beginning. Okay, Kingsbury left. That's why you originally signed. He's gone. Okay,
Which
fine.
is also why coaches say make sure you pick the school along with the coaches, which no kid does these days.
So that's acceptable. I get the move to Texas. The problem occurs when he's been at Texas for 5 months, doing all these camps with them. Texas is getting ready, getting all their schemes going, getting their offense in line.
And he's going to be a huge part of what they do.
And he's practicing with starters. And they're like, oh, this guy's elite. He's going to be our number one. And all of a sudden he's like, well,
what?
I feel homesick. I guess it wasn't just about Kingsbury. I'm going back to USC, guys. That hurts Texas so bad.
Exactly.
Just because they have to change kind of everything they were planning. And it just seems like it's too easy. And I do understand the point that they want to please the players because they're already displeased with not being able to be paid and things like that. That's a whole nother topic. I think they should play the players at this point. But you can't make it that easy. There's got to be some sort of restriction, or if they decide to do that, he's got to have to sit or something. Because otherwise, people can just keep changing their minds, and these young players, young-minded, it's hard to make some of these decisions. These are adult decisions, and they're kind of being thrown into them, and it's hard. But there has to be some amount of accountability or something, because it almost hurts their reputation. It kind of looks bad on them, I think.
It definitely does.
It hurts. Like, now what does USC do? They just welcome him back with open arms?
I'm sure.
Or are they nervous that he's going to go again?
I mean, I'm sure they do. Another crazy part is Brew McCoy's appeal was still pending through this entire time. So he wasn't given immediate eligibility to play at Texas. He was still waiting on a result, and I'm sure he expected to be able to play immediately because of these flimsy hardship rules that the NCAA has given out. But it's a complete mess, and it's all on the NCAA, and they make it look even worse because there can be a counter argument that coaches get to leave whenever they want. Like Manny Diaz, the head coach at Miami, he just became the head coach at Miami. Before the summer, he took the head coaching job at Temple. He was a coordinator at Miami. He took the head coaching job at Temple. He was at Temple for, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. He signed a recruiting class for Temple. And then a few days later, he came back to Miami and took that head coaching job. So when you have stuff like that, why can't the players just go wherever they want and hop back and forth?
Right.
The NCAA, they've made this system just, it's filled with flaw. It's all flawed. Anybody can do whatever they want, and yeah, it's blown up in their face.
Yeah. The NCAA seemingly has gone like 1 step forward, 2 steps back a lot recently.
It's more like 1 step forward, 20 steps back.
Yeah, with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can figure themselves out. I don't really know.
I don't think they will, to be honest.
No, they got a lot of issues going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's our show for today. Hopefully next week Chris can be healthy, I guess. But if Kevin Durant's not playing, Chris ain't playing.
Come on, man.
So we'll see.
You got to be active. If you want your team to win, the Bucks are out. His team can't
Chris
win.
has got to play that Klay Thompson mentality. All right, see you guys.